What we're looking at now is that we're going to be moving on and looking at function notation. So we're not going to be using as many radical functions in this one. We're going to be introducing how to use like f of x, and if we're going f of x plus g of x, and f of x times g of x, and f of x, and f of g of x, and all that stuff. So something called fog and goff, or foff and gog. Okay. So that type of stuff is what we're going to be looking at towards the end of this one. So the first thing are some simple properties that make a lot of sense. Whenever we're saying like f of x is a function like 3x plus 2. And then we'll say g of x is 4x minus 7. Okay. And what we're doing here is we're using notation to try to, instead of writing all that out, we're simplifying and saying, okay, if this is what f of x is and this is what g of x always is, what if we want to add them? And we can just say, okay, well, f plus g of x, which is f of x plus g of x. So we would just add this function to this function. The next one, f minus g of x, is f of x minus g of x. So you just do the first one minus the whole second one. This one you're going to have to be careful, making sure you remember to distribute that negative to every part. Fg of x would be multiplying, so you do f of x times g of x, so you FOIL in this one. More than likely, you would FOIL. And the last one is a division. F over g of x is the same as f of x over g of x. So you would just do a division if you can simplify when you're dividing. Okay. So if we have these, so there's f of x, 3x plus 4, and g of x is x squared minus 8. Okay. Now if we want to add them, we would go 3x plus 4 plus x squared minus 8. And then we would combine like terms. Looks like we would just have an x squared. 3x is by itself, so it would be plus 3x, and it would be minus 4. And that would just be adding. We're adding the first one, and we're adding the second one. Okay. The next one, subtraction, it would be 3x plus 4 minus parenthesis x squared minus 8. You would distribute the negative to both parts, which would get you a 3x plus 4 minus x squared plus 8. So that would get you a negative x squared plus 3x plus 12. Again, combining like terms. So the big thing here is just slow down for a second, make sure you understand what it's doing, and then the rest of it's just combining like terms. F of g, or f times g, would just be 3x plus 4 times x squared minus 8. Multiply those two together, so you're going to FOIL first, outer, inner, last, which would be, looks like it's 3x cubed minus 24x plus 4x squared minus 32. And then you would order this in a way so that it works out. So it would be 3x cubed plus 4x squared minus 24 minus 32. Oh, 24x minus 32. And the last one, the division, you would just go 3x plus 4 all over x squared minus 8. And you can't simplify it anymore, so you could leave it just as is. Sometimes you will be able to simplify it, but a lot of times you won't be able to. Okay, so now here is our f of x and g of x. It's the same as the previous one. Not always are the same, but sometimes they are. Now as you see here, instead of just saying that it's just x, we're given an actual number. There's two ways of doing this. The first one, I'll do it one way, and the next one, I'll do it the other way. So here's the first way of doing it. What you'll do is you'll go 3x plus 4 plus 3x plus 4, okay, which is what f of x plus f of x is. Combine like terms, 6x plus 8. Okay. Now this 3 gets put in for the x, so it'd be x times 3 plus 8, which would be 18 plus 8, which would be about a 26. Okay, which would be about a 26. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. Now the way that popped up here is the second way of doing it, which I will do for the second one. What you're going to do is once you write it out, minus 3x plus 4, wherever there's an x, you're going to put this negative 2. So it would be negative 2 squared minus 8 minus 3 times the negative 2 plus 4. And then you combine things from here. It would be 4 minus 8 minus a negative 6 plus 4. Negative 6 plus 4 is a negative 2, which is being multiplied by a negative, and that would be a negative. That would be a negative 4. Okay. Which looks like it gets you about a negative 2, because this becomes positive, and then you're able to find it. Okay. So that would be the other way, is that you plug in that number right away in for the variables, and then just simplify it down. Either way works fine. They both work perfectly well. If you want to combine the originals first, and then plug a number in, that works. If you want to plug the number in and then combine, that works too. It's up to you. All right, composition functions. Now, composition functions are functions that are made of two functions that are combined to make one. And the way of doing it is that it will be written, there's 3 different ways of writing it. The first one, which is f, and then there's that little open circle g of x. And then there's f of g of x, which is how you would say this. You would say it's f of g of x. And then there's also the f parenthesis g of x and parenthesis. Okay. Now, if we want to look at f of x, or f of g of x, okay, what you would do is wherever there's an x in the second one, so the f is the second one, you're going to put the first one into the second one. So as you see here, we take the g of x and plug it in for that x. So it's going to be 2 times 2x squared plus 5, which gets us 4x squared plus 5. Okay. Now let's go the other way. Let's say g of x, or g of f of 2. So I'm going to do it one way, and then we're going to do it the other way. So the first way is to take your g of x, which is 2 parenthesis squared, and then you plug in the f of x, which is 2x squared plus 5. You will FOIL this, which will get you a 4x squared plus 20x plus 25, and that's just from foiling. Distribute this in, 8x squared plus 20x plus 25, and then plug the 2 in for the x's. Okay, which gets you 8 times 4 plus 20 times 2 plus 25, which looks like it gets you about a 32 plus 40 plus 25, which will get you 60, 97, about. That's one way of doing it. So you combine everything and then do that. Now the other way of doing it, which is personally I like doing this way better, you're going to start with the last 2. So f of 2. So you're going to plug a 2 in for the f of x. Okay. So I plugged a 2 in for the f of x. That gets me 4 plus 5, which is 9. Okay. Which is 9. Oh, this one I didn't multiply the 2 all the way through. So actually this number should be larger. It would be 50, 80. Yeah, this number's a lot larger than 97. This one would be 9. So what we'll do here is that we'll take this 9 and plug it in for the x in the g, or the second part. So it would be 2 times 9 squared, 81 times 2, which would be 162. And as you see here, if you were to add this one up, you would get a 162 as well. So as you see here, this way I like more because the second way I like more because it's it's easier to see the numbers and then just calculate the numbers and not have to deal with a variable or anything else floating around. And you end up getting your answers. Okay, so they both work perfectly fine. Whichever one you're more comfortable with, you can do that. I'm just gonna say it's probably gonna be easier to do it this way because you don't have to deal with the variables and you don't have to FOIL and all that stuff. All right, your IRAT. So with your IRAT, what you're gonna do, there's 4 here. So I tell you what your f of x and your g of x are. Okay, they're right there, and you're going to add them. You're going to do fog on it. Okay, f of g. So remember, put the second into the first. And then I give you, okay, f of 3. So you're going to plug a 3 in for the x and a 2 in for the g and then solve it. And then g of f, or golf, with 1. Okay. So that's what you're going to do. That's your IRAT that you're going to have done when you come to class.